Caution, incoming phone spin. As today we take a look at the World Economic Forum's penetration into the United States. Working with Dr. Jacob Nordengard's Young Global Leaders Program list from 93 to 2003. I'm not quite sure where the phone's aimed. I just kind of want to show you the categories that he breaks them down into. This list is not complete or totally up to date. What I did is I took one name from each of 25 pages, 550 he has listed here, approximately. I just took the one from each page that caught my eye. I don't follow American politics, so a lot of the names didn't mean anything to me. Julie Andrea R. Abad, Chief of the Staff of the President of the Philippines, Senior Staffer of the Philippines Senate, Harvard Kennedy School. As I mentioned in previous videos, the Harvard Kennedy branch serves as the preschool to the Young Global Leaders Program. Very much so, anyways. Kamal Ahmad, World Bank, Rockefeller Foundation, UNICEF, UNESCO. He went to the Harvard College. Well, let me keep these in order. I'll try to go through these as quick as I can. Nick Ayers, Assistant to the President and Chief of Staff to the Vice President Mike Pence in 2017 to 19. Helped shape the administration's most important and high-profile initiatives, from space policy to tax policy to foreign policy, including the U.S. posture towards China and the relocation of the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. I'll keep these closer so I can go a little quicker. My point is, we're going to see Klaus at Harvard in 2017 said, "The way we do it is we penetrate the cabinets, the governments." Well, in here we're going to see a considerable number of academia, both mainstream and social media and business. Marco Benioff, owner, Time Magazine. He's on the Salesforce, WEF Agenda Contributor, WEF Board of Trustees, inaugural chair of the World Economic Forum's Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in San Francisco. The WEF's regional branches are a subject I'll have to do a video on another day. Matt Blunt, Governor of Missouri. No years listed. Perhaps he's not still the governor. I don't know. Again, I don't follow American politics. Carol M. Browner, Assistant to the President for Energy and Climate Change Policy, 2009 to 11. She was Obama's climate czar. Stephen Chen, co-founder of YouTube. Amy J.C. Cuddy, Associate Professor, Harvard Business School. She's a Harvard alumni. James Dimon, Chairman and CEO, J.P. Morgan Chase and Company. Another Harvard alumni. Esther Dufo, Professor of Economics, MIT. Betsy Fisher Martin, Executive Producer, Meet the Press, NBC News. We see that here in Canada, the WEF penetration into the CBC and the CTV. Nizander Gilbert, Chairwoman of the Investments Committee, David Rockefeller Fund. David Rockefeller Fund, Glasgow Financial Alliance. You know that one, or we certainly do in Canada, the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. Well, of course you do in the States. Carney being investigated recently. Anyways, Adam Grant, professor of management and psychology from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. Another Harvard alumni. Jamie Herrera Butler, U.S. House of Representatives, Congresswoman from Washington, D.C., 3rd District. Hella Harund, Lagoditry or something, co-founder of the Arctic Initiative, Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Doesn't list her as being any university other than where she's employed now. From 2023, so I assume this individual's still around, Tara Lyer, macroeconomist, IMF, White House Council of Economic Advisors, the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, and the Asian Development Bank. Yes, the ties between Communist China and the World Economic Forum are substantial. Sam Kass, President Obama's Senior Policy Advisor for Nutrition, First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign assistant. We'll see several WEF and Obama relations, I guess we'll say. Paul Krugman, Professor of Economics, Princeton University, writer for the New York Times. Stig Bletchley, Senior Lecturer at Harvard Business School, Harvard alumni. I know it's pretty dry, but anyways, stick with me if you like. Hella Harund Lagoditry, okay, co-founder of the Arctic Initiative again, Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Harvard alumni. I must remember to look into that Arctic Initiative. I don't know what that is. From 2020, Young Global's Catherine Mayer, CEO, Wikipedia Foundation. Wikipedia is WEF. I've covered that before in other videos. John Meacham, Managing Editor, Newsweek. From 2003, Trevor Nielsen, Climate Emergency Fund, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Co-founder and chairman of the Climate Emergency Fund, Director of Communications, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Excuse me. Gavin Newsom, Governor of California, 2019 to currently still. Boris Nikolic, Bill Gates' former science advisor, co-founder of 3 biotechnology companies. Oh yeah, was named in Jeffrey Epstein's will as an executor of his estate. That's why, I just went through the list and thought, who do I pick, right? That caught my eye. Oliver Quiller, Professor of Behavioral and Brain Sciences. That sounds, yeah. At the Aix-Marseille University. Global leader in personalized neuroinformatics. That all sounds kind of like a cross between the World Economic Forum's behavioral sciences and implants. Dana Perino, Fox News presenter, White House press secretary under George W. Bush. Julicia Reynoso, Chief of Staff to the First Lady and co-chair of the White House Gender Policy Council 2022 to perhaps currently. Not sure when this list was updated and last published. Namini Rubin, International Institutions Manager of Meta, U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Sheryl Sandberg, CEO and board member, Facebook. Sally Shin, CNBC, executive editor, business, tech and media, NBC News. Seems your American news is WEF penetrated as much as Canada's, perhaps. William Steiger, Director of the Office of Global Health Affairs in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He sits on the executive board of the World Health Organization, the WHO, and well, I guess I didn't find anybody who interested in me on that page. Peter Thiel, co-founder, Founders Fund, Palantir, and PayPal, says in the Good Doctor's notes he's a friend of Donald Trump. Vasudhya Vats, Vice President, Global Head of Marketing, Inflammation and Immunology, Pfizer. Vice President, Global Head of Marketing, Inflammation and Immunology at Pfizer. Simon Yadek, Senior Visiting Fellow, United Nations Development Program. That's the UNDP, you may have heard of that. UN Secretary Task Force on Digital Financing of the Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, we hit the last page. Jeff Zeleny, Senior White House Correspondent, CNN. And in the doctor's notes, it says Tesla Motors, although I don't know what that means. So, point being of this little exercise was just to show, I'll try and reinforce the idea, the reality, that the WEF doesn't just penetrate governments. We had banking, academia, business, media, etc. Anyways, well, Canada's been run and is being run by the World Economic Forum from 2015. We know what Trump said to the World Economic Forum twice, both in his previous election, previous presidency and current presidency, and what he said to the UN, which is part of the WEF, and again his previous presidency. You're lucky in America. You've got a president that, while he does business with some WEF members, he's not a globalist. Whereas we have Mark Carney here in Canada as our placed prime minister. And if we were to use a military analogy, Mark Carney's like, well, he's a 5-star general and he's probably ranked 3rd in the power structure of the World Economic Forum. Anyways, heads up, Uncle Sam. There you go. Oh, and Ivanka Trump is a Young Global Leaders Program graduate. Although that's not to say she's an active status WEF member. She wasn't in the list. I found her somewhere else. Oh, phone spin incoming.